All right, guys. So this is Jamie Peck being interviewed by Chris Cuomo of News Nation. Jamie Peck is on a podcast called Party Girls Podcast. She used to be on the Majority Report. I used to love her on the Majority Report. She is a open or self-described communist. The Majority Report was so much better when she was on it. Before Michael died. If you know anything about the Majority Report, if you listen to the Majority Report now and didn't listen to it, say 2 or 3 years ago, look up Michael Brooks. And her and Michael Brooks were on the Majority Report together, and they were great. They're why I used to love the Majority Report. I barely watch it now, but anyway, stopping the babble. Here's Chris Cuomo interviewing Jamie Peck on Luigi Mangione.
Jamie Peck joins us now. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
Help me understand, why is it a beautiful thing? Why do you support him assassinating another human being in cold blood?
So I was definitely joking a little bit, obviously drawing a comparison between what Donald Trump said about himself and the sort of explosion, this appetite, this excitement for the conversation that Luigi Mangione started. But I do think to call this an act of terrorism is an insult to the intelligence of the American people. Terrorism is something designed to strike fear into the hearts of non-combatant civilians, right? The general population. Nobody but a tiny class of CEOs has been made to live in fear by Luigi's actions, but nearly everybody knows what it's like to live in fear of having a necessary medical claim denied, the fear of having your life ruined or potentially ended by a stack of medical bills. And I think in a system with so much violence that's directed from the top down, it should come as no surprise when violence begins to boomerang back from the bottom up onto the 1%. Also, I would like to remind you on the subject of terrorism, nearly 3,000 Americans lost their lives on 9/11, right? This is the largest terrorist attack this country has ever seen. An estimated 190,000 people are murdered each year by our broken healthcare system.
That's crazy. That's a lot
That is
of
the
people.
equivalent of 52 9/11s worth of deaths every year. Every single week, another 9/11 happens. So I gotta ask, who is the more prolific terrorist in this equation?
Well,
I would say the insurance companies for sure.
First of all, as you may know, Jamie, terrorism is a specific legal standard, right? There's no question that Luigi did what he did in furtherance of a political agenda. He said it, okay? So I don't see this as a question of fact or law. It's about the policy behind it. What I don't understand, and you are somebody who in your positions is constantly trying to embrace the humanity of situations, right? I've been looking at why you support what you do with what's happening in the Middle East conflict. To me, this seems to be anathema to this. You know, nothing within a system gets changed by violence.
That is insane to say. How was America made? Violence. The American Revolution, right? How was it taken from the Indians? Violence. The Native Americans? Violence. Like, not just America. When you bring up slavery in America's violence, so everybody's been violent, everybody had slaves, right? So violence is kind of the way this stuff happens. And now, check this out. Now we're talking about it. He killed one dude. Now everyone's talking. And it seems like we might get universal health care sooner than later now. But, I mean, let's see what she has to say.
How can you expect? Yeah, we're having a conversation, but we're not
Yes,
having
we
the
are.
right one. Because
Well, then
the
have the right
healthcare
one.
industry now has high ground because they've been
No,
victimized
they don't.
by this chooch. This isn't how we get insurance to be better.
What is a
Put
chooch?
bullet in somebody's head. Why would you get behind that?
Now, I've never advocated violence as a tactic for change coming from
You're celebrating the guy.
people that I organize with. This was
Yes, nobody do violence. I'm not saying do violence either. Also, like, share, and subscribe.
the lone wolf act of violence on the part of Luigi Mangione, and it seems to have started a huge conversation among everybody about the violence, the death, and the murder caused by this broken healthcare system. Again, 9/11 every single week indefinitely until someone puts a stop to this madness. So we are here really to advocate for the thousands and thousands of people who have spoken up against an
That's crazy how big 9/11 was and how everybody acted like, oh my God, I mean, rightfully so, right? But then the health insurance company denies a 9/11 a week. That's crazy.
just and violent healthcare
That's
system,
fine.
which is not
That's fine, but
effective nature.
Jamie, that's 100% fine. And by the way, it's not new, okay? People have been crusading against insurance companies, but there's no question we haven't gotten changes to the system that are necessary. No question. You're talking to one of them right now. I look this old because I am old, and I've been covering that system for over 25 years, and almost never positively. But you're raising money for this guy's legal defense. If that isn't supporting what he did, I don't know what would be. And again, as somebody who says what my interest is in seeing people treated humanely, you're raising money for exactly the opposite. I don't get the hypocrisy.
Well, I think everybody is entitled to a fair trial, including Luigi
Sure.
Mangione. And as we
He doesn't
know,
need your money.
Access to a fair trial is actually quite tiered based on how many
He doesn't need your money.
resources a person
Why is
has
Chris all bitter?
access to. What?
He's got access. You see who his lawyer is? She ain't working pro bono, I promise you that.
Yeah, well, we have not heard yet as to whether or not Luigi is going to accept these funds. If he doesn't need them for whatever reason, they're going to be distributed to other people who are facing political charges. But I think
No,
in this
why don't
country,
you distribute
money is
the
a form
money?
of speech.
Why does
No,
Chris?
I'm not saying you
advocating
can't
for-
do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, Jamie. I'm saying, why would you do it? You have the right to do it. I'm saying, why is it right? Why don't you take the money and give it to people who've gotten screwed by insurance companies?
Why are you gonna tell her what to do with the money? She's gonna give it to other
I
defendants.
think I need to refocus once again onto the murder and the violence inherent in this system that so many people all across the political spectrum, across lines of political difference, conservatives, liberals, Democrats,
We
and
agree.
Republicans
We
are
agree.
all excited and
Raise
energized
money
to
for
talk
them.
about this and to have this
Raise
conversation
money
that's
for
been
the
leaving
action groups
so
that
many
go after the
comments
insurance companies.
on
I'm
the
with you.
fundraiser.
This is not about the insurance companies. That's my problem, Jamie. I had you
Well-
on not for sport. I want you to understand that I don't think that the energy that you're putting towards backing this guy is getting us to a better place with the problems of the system. That's my point to you. Use the money you raised for the people who need it, not this guy.
Well, I believe we really
But
need to
one, also I understand that raising money for people who need it and he doesn't need it, but he's the face right now, right? So if you can get more money for everybody by using his face, then go for it. Like she said, if he doesn't want the money, which he is rich and his family's probably paying for the lawyer that they got already, so if he doesn't want the money, he's going to raise more money for other people.
treat the causes of problems rather than merely the symptoms. And I think if you want to know what kinds of tactics I do advocate for, I think we need a mass movement. You know, change comes from the bottom up,
But not a bunch
not
of
the top
Luigis.
down. And I'm talking about mass resistance to medical debt. If everybody burns their medical bills in front of the health
But not
insurance
like
company
this.
offices en
That's
masse,
different.
that's going to create change. And we're just trying
That's
to figure
different.
out how to use this moment of of popular excitement that has been touched off by, yes, a violent act that I would not advocate for as a tactic if it were up
You're
to
raising
me,
money for that.
but it happened. And we're trying to figure out how to ride that wave and move this conversation forward into mass
Use the
action
moment.
that can really make a difference.
Well, listen, I'm here for it. I always have been, but we're covering it. I would love for that to be the discussion. But as long as this guy is glamorized, it is a distraction. It is not a vehicle for focus. But I do appreciate you coming on to make the case, and I'm happy the audience got to hear where you're coming from because they're scratching their heads about this. Not about what's wrong with insurance, but how this was the solution. Thank you for coming on to make the case.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Jamie Peck joins us now. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
I mean, it's a distraction to Chris Cuomo because it's not the exact way he wants it done. Of course, don't be shooting nobody. Nobody wants it done that way. Sorry if you can hear the beeping. There's a truck backing up outside. but nobody wants it done that way. Yet nobody wants, what was it, 3,000 something people to die every week because they're denied health care? That's insane. So we're having the conversation. You're all bitter about it, but hey, were you having this conversation about health care last week or before the 5th? Were you behind Bernie Sanders? Were you bringing Bernie Sanders on your show and supporting Bernie Sanders? Probably not. So, I mean, you're a big part of the problem too, Chris. You're this rich man who doesn't do anything for nobody. But so anyway, I love Jamie Peck. She's awesome. She's a open communist. And go check out Party Girls podcast.